It's time. We are Will Noonan. Baby, we're recording. We're doing this. We got this.
Brother man.
Yo, oh, we're going to talk about that, but I want to talk about the Brother Man. So before we get into the Brother Man stuff, how the fuck is Boston treating you?
It's treating me pretty good. It's March, what is it today? The 8th. So we're getting back to,
No, we're the 9th.
9th today. Yeah. So we're getting back to like sort of opening up. March 22nd, it was when we were supposed to be able to start again. And I booked all these gigs like the day that news came out. And then within the past week, like they've all been canceled. Like they're all like,
Oh, fuck.
postponed. I mean, we're still going. Like there are places opening April 1st.
This is like around Boston.
Boston, the city itself.
So the city itself, some places are opening and some aren't?
Yeah. I mean, we're legally allowed to, though, March 22nd. That's like which people were surprised by. People thought it was going to be longer. So it was like this rush to get shows booked. So I booked a bunch of stuff. I was like, fuck yeah. I mean, I was so excited. You know what I mean? I was like almost like tearing up.
I'm waiting for that.
My phone was blowing up and I was like, it's coming back. Like, it's back. Like, that's what it felt like, you know? And then it was like slowly but surely, it was kind of like, and then I waited a week. Like there was one at the House of Blues that like, they told me like, don't promote it until we know for sure. So I was like, I won't. And it was a hard secret to keep for like a week. And then they were like, you can tell everyone. And I was like, House of Blues. And it was like, I think like, 200 likes on Instagram, like really fast. And people were like, I'm going to fucking be there. And then it was like the next day I got the text like from my manager that was just like, it's postponed.
But why is it postponed if they're legally allowed to open now?
So this is like totally my theory. I don't even think that this is what happened with this gig, but I think there's a thing that's happening. And this is just a theory, but I think it's like no one wants to be that first club that like the newspaper goes to and does the story on. That's like, is this it? Or is this a good idea? Or is this no one seems to want to take that chance.
Like Will Noonan came here and everybody got COVID. Some people got herpes.
Exactly.
We're attributing it all to him.
It's funny to me because I was one of the first comics up here to do, like in June, New Hampshire started doing live comedy.
Yeah, we had that here too. There was that period up until October and we were doing shit.
Yeah, so I was like, I went out and started doing some shows, but I would travel from Mass to New Hampshire to do a show. And people like, some people that I know and other people that are just like random people I don't know were like, this is incredibly, unsafe. And this guy is like putting himself and everyone at risk. And I'm like, I don't agree. But so I went, I did it. Nothing happened. I did it several times and it's all happening all over again, just here in Massachusetts, And it's like, we got to get back at some point, we have to.
What are we going to do? Are we going to wait till everything just fucking can't function anymore? No one has money. Every store is boarded up. What are we going to wait for?
And even if we go back for a month and shit gets fucked up and we got to come back in, it's like, we know we can do that now. We know we can hop in and out at a moment's notice. But I've been, I would say I'm far from like an anti-masker or a fucking non-believer in it or anything, but it's like enough is a fucking enough. Like my parents are vaccinated, most old people are fucking getting vaccinated. I can tell on the streets, I don't know about you, but the vibe of the people is like, it's done.
Yeah, a lot of people around here are like, it's done. I'm taking matters in my own hand. I'm killing old people when I see them.
Yeah.
I'm like, the less of you, the less problems we got.
You're in Canada, right?
Yeah, Montreal. Dude, in Quebec, we're the only place in North America that still has a fucking curfew.
Wow, really? What's the curfew?
8 p.m.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
That's still very early.
It's psychotic.
That's funny, too. It's one of my favorite cities in North America is Montreal. I used to go there a lot in high school to drink. I've been to several bachelor parties there.
A lot of people from Boston come up here for that kind of shit.
All the time. Yeah. I mean, it was like a regular thing, a rite of passage, I would even say. You know what I mean? It's like, have you made your first trip to Montreal yet? Go to Club Super Sex.
Yeah, that's right. There's better strip clubs right around there. There's so many better strip.
But there's none better titles. Like, there's nothing better than Club Super Sex. Like, when you're 16 and you got cash in hand and you're walking up St. Catherine Street, which one do I go? It's like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
And you see Club Super Sex, you're just like, that's the one. I mean,
I don't even know if
the
it's
other
still
places have
open.
sex, but they have Super Sex.
Yeah, they have super. I don't even know if it's still open.
Probably not. I
I'm
mean,
trying
the
to
last time I
think.
was there was over 10 years ago.
I haven't. Yeah, well, I haven't been to a strip club in when I was that age too,
Yeah.
so I can't remember. But I don't
I
think.
saw a standing ovation there. Actually, the only time I've ever seen a standing ovation in a strip club. You know, like Montreal's a beautiful city too. Like people don't like. I almost went to college there and for theater, so I saw there's like a beautiful theater scene, art scene, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like dancers and stuff. So whoever was dancing at Club Super Sex had to be like a ballerina or a professional because she was like. It was funny. She transcended. It was In the Air of the Night by Phil Collins. And somewhere in like the first verse, everyone stopped being horny and just started being like impressed by her like artistic skill. And it was it was a club full and everyone's like watching. And then she got to the point where the drums come on. It's like boom, 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 boom. And she ripped her underwear off and the lights came on and a standing ovation. I've never seen it before or since. A standing ovation in a strip club. And it was
What
like
a moment.
2:30 in the afternoon too.
Oh, it was a daytime stripper.
Yeah.
What a moment.
I still think about it to this day.
Dude, why don't you head down? You can do shows in Florida or Texas, right?
Yeah, I could. For a little while there, it was like I couldn't really. I couldn't. My girlfriend, fiance now, she works in healthcare, so I couldn't like do anything that would like fuck. Like if she basically brought in Corona to her workplace
Because of
she'd
you?
be- yeah, like she'd be a piece of shit, which would then make me a huge piece of shit.
Yeah,
to her.
haven't you been paying attention? I have, but my man just
Yeah.
got back from Florida and
Yeah,
Texas.
exactly.
He was
Like,
licking handrails.
There was something I was looking to do, and I kind of floated it by her, and she was like, yeah, "I don't think you can do that. Like, if you do that publicly, you know what I'm saying? And like people know she's my fiance, like that she works with, so they'd be like, "Is Will in Florida?" You know,
Yeah,
that
no,
was months ago.
but
I
you don't
do,
want to fuck her over.
No, and I have acting. I do like voiceover work a lot for like some like radio ads. So that like kept me busy enough here in Boston. Like it was some work, so I was like, thank
And
God.
acting. You think
Yeah,
I didn't see the
exactly.
Super Bowl commercial? You think I didn't watch your Twitter? I saw that shit. I
So
retweeted
luckily
that.
For me, I still had like half the work I would normally have. Comedy was fucking like, which is like what I live off of. That's like my money, and that's like my livelihood. And then it's like acting is like, it's like the lotto. It's like it could come, it could go. But this year it was like, luckily I'm under contract now with one company, so it was like I knew I had 1 year of work, and I was like, thank fucking God.
So you can get a contract for acting?
For commercial, for like companies, you can, like Flow. So like once you do a commercial, right? It's like if you do a couple for the same company, let's say it's McDonald's, and like Pantelis, like he's done 2 McDonald's commercials for us, and we don't have him under contract. Like Burger King could just hire him next week and do a McDonald's sucks commercial, and we'd have no like legal recourse. We'd have no right to say anything about it. And we like Pantelis, and we don't want to lose him. So like we gotta pay him to like stay in our barn. You know what I mean?
Oh fuck, that's a good deal.
So it's I didn't even realize stuff like that happened. So I was lucky. I was like I basically did a year of commercials for this company, and then they were like, hey, you want to sign? That was 2 years ago. I was like, all I got to do is not do other car companies or anything with like wheels. And I'm like, yeah, no problem.
And you will pay me to not work. Yeah, correct. Correct.
To only work for them. It's like the mafia, It's like you only work for me.
That's amazing. I would take that deal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an actor's dream. I started an acting school before I did comedy. And it's so when I was 18, I was like, I don't know about commercials, It's like you get locked in, and then after 10 years of straight poverty, you're like, it's the best deal in the world. Like, it's so hard to make money in show business these days,
Oh, dude, it's crazy here too. I started doing voiceover and commercial. Like I got an agent to get me that. And I told her, the focus is acting. Get me acting and get me voiceover work. And all she sends my way is photo shoots. Like commercial. And I'm like, and I show up and they're like, so how long have you been a model? I was like, look at me. I'm a comedian. I'm here because I don't have a good agent. That's why I'm here. And it's just my hands. It's like these weird photos they're taking of me. And I always feel, like, God, I should be doing more. I got skills.
I said, well, I'm telling you know what, man, like, honest to God, like, the agents are funny because it's like, they go, the day one, they have the same dreams you have. They're like, yeah, we're going to fucking like put you in the movies and the TV. Then after like 2 auditions, you don't get a part. They're like, listen, you're a fucking hand model now, and we're getting $700. Like it or not. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what it is.
Squeeze something out of you. You know what I mean? But I used to do so. Acting is so funny. Like, no one wants to be the very first person to put you on camera, and it's kind of like we were talking about with the clubs, right? It's like, until you have a few things on your resume, no one wants to hire you because they're like, well, what if he gets on the set and he freaks out? And then like it causes a huge delay and we lose thousands of dollars. So like, you kind of have to get one fucking person who's dumb enough themselves. They're like our new director. They're fresh. They don't know that. They hire you. Now you have like one thing. It's like you snuck in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like that. I had 10 years after acting school, nothing, like almost nothing. And I remember it was 10 years to the day I got a audition, and it was like to host this online sports thing like Tosh.0, and it was like $200 a week. But it was every week. Right. And I was like, yeah. So I took it into the agency. It was like, I was booking something every week. It was like, wow, this guy makes money every week. All they look at is that. It was the same gig. Right. But they thought, so then all of a sudden they started putting me out on everything. Like, oh, this guy books. So it was like.
Did more stuff come after that? Because they were putting you out more?
Absolutely. And then I had that one thing where it was like, well, this guy films a show every week. Like, he must be comfortable on camera. And I remember thinking the whole time, I go, this whole business is such bullshit. Like, I'm just as good as I was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Or as bad, the same, but everyone's treating me different just because I did this one thing. And it's the same with stand-up,
It's a weird business.
In stand-up, when a guy, everyone's like, he fucking stinks, I hate that guy. And then he like gets SNL, and then everyone's like, but he is a genius though. And I do love him. Like, and like, we are best friends.
Yeah. I'm more of the guy who I end up really liking people, and I get upset when they don't get shit. Like, I'll see someone who really isn't good, but they're squeaking by, and then I'll see like a great person just go unnoticed. That always pisses me off. I'm like, what? How is this possible? There's no justice.
That does bother me. What bothers me is when I'm watching like a guy who I think should be more famous, who already is kind of famous too. Like, I remember there was like, I used to open for DePaulo a lot, and anytime he didn't like sell the fucking entire room out, I'd be like, do you fucking people know who's here tonight? You know what I mean? And most of the time he did sell it out, but anytime it was like a little light, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, this guy rules,
And now he moved.
Arenas.
Where do you go now? Now he's in Alabama? Where the fuck is he?
I don't know. He's like in Georgia. This was years ago. This was back when he came up to like Rhode Island and Mass and stuff.
Yeah, because he had a moment where he was killing it, and then I think now he's in the wilderness. What the fuck is he?
He's in Georgia. He said something funny to me on Twitter. He was like, I'm bowling my tits off because I couldn't bowl. Like the bowling alleys are closed and stuff. He's like, I'm bowling my tits off down here. Living free, you know what I mean? But I remember thinking, stuff like Gary Goldman's another guy. I mean, he's pretty famous now, but for a long time, like, I used to open for him and be like, how are people not like lined up around the block? This dude's so funny.
But he got his break recently, right? I think he got a special that did well.
Judd Apatow like discovered him.
Isn't that crazy when you get discovered after you've already been doing it for so many people for years? And then someone takes credit. I discovered this guy. This guy was at a Burger King.
I hear that all the time with like, everything. These people came out of nowhere. It's like, well, he's been doing clubs like Leslie Jones. She came out of nowhere. It's like she's been on the road for fucking 20 years.
Yeah, you guys just didn't notice.
Yeah, it's like slowly becoming super talented.
Do you get any flack for the Brother Man stuff when you make fun of Opie? Does he ever get mad at you?
Well, so yeah, the whole thing. It's not like. I hate Opie. You know what I mean?
No. The way I see it, whenever I see the videos, I never feel hate. It just feels like you're goofing around with someone that you knew of, that you used to listen to, so you're aware of their mannerisms, and it's fun. I laugh.
It's like I honestly like this is so grandiose to say, but the way I think of it is like SNL, like they mock powerful people, but it's like fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's
Well, it used
fun
to
to
be.
do that, right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it all started with I was waiting to do Kumia. Like I was in New York, and I had like an hour before Kumia started. And I was like, just like dicking around, walking around the neighborhood trying to find something to do. And I was like, Opie had just made a video for Joe Rogan where he was like, Joe, come on, man. Why won't you have me on your podcast, bro? Like, and I just thought it was like sort of silly and ridiculous that he thought that would work. So
That was a week
I,
before me and Mike went on, by the way, and I made a joke about it. I go, it's funny that Opie can't get on here, and I'm, I was so pumped when that video came out. I was like, this is awkward.
you're like, yeah, I'm on. You know what I mean? So it was funny to me too. It was like that whole thing of like he was even within the video, he was being kind of like a dick to Rogan. He's like, "Come
Yeah.
on, Joe, we gave you a big break, so won't be a fucking asshole and do me this favor." You know
Yeah,
what
it's
I mean? And I was
weird.
like, "That's not how you ask for a favor." So anyway, I made it, posted it, and then like walked up to do the show. We do the whole show. Garrett shows him like it's like the end of the show. You know, it's like 6 o'clock, about to run the credits or whatever, and Garrett's like, "Oh, hold on, I wanted to show this to you," and he like shows it. And Anthony just like laughs so fucking. He laughed so much harder than anything I'd ever said on the show or like anything. So then, and the fans loved it. So then I was like, next time I'm in New York, I'm gonna do another video, you know. So I started doing them. I did one for Skankfest. I try not to do them too much because I think if I did one every day, it would just be like, Brother Man's talking about, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's 67 and sunny today. You know what I mean? Like, it would just be so boring.
Such a good impression.
But yeah, it's gotten to the point where now, like, I mean, even during COVID, like, I've had people like be like, Brother Man, when like driving by.
It's weird that he became a parody.
Well, he did, and then I did Carl's, you know, the Who Are These podcast thing.
Oh
and
yeah, I know those guys.
he was playing clips from it, and I hadn't listened in like a year. And he's now embracing Brother Man himself. So he's like, "Welcome to the Brother Man show, Brother Man, Brother Man, Brother Man." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like it's come full circle, like where he's embracing this whole Brother Man thing.
Well, there's no other way out of this.
I know.
What's he gonna do?
But anyway,
Fight
so
it viciously?
he blocked me day one after that first video.
Really? He was
So
that pissed about this?
I remember I asked Kevin Brennan, I was like, name dropping left and right here, but I asked Brennan, I was like, do you think Obi will be mad or do you think he'll get it?
Brennan, who never gets into any sort of controversy.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy you ask for advice to, like, will this anger anybody? So that's who I went to. He's like, no, it's too funny. Like, it's funny. He'll think it's funny. You know what I mean? So
You ask Brennan for career advice when you don't want to have a career anymore. That's when you want to get out of the business.
I said that to Garrett, like, once. I was like, I feel like I'm in the Kevin Brennan, like, single A. Like, I'm, like, trying to make my way up to the big leagues of being Brennan.
So fucking dumb.
But, yeah, he, I mean, like I said, so I actually, at first I was like, Obi's I'm going to end up on his show. Like, this is going to end with me and him sitting across from each other at a table and, like, laughing about this, you know? Because that's how I think radio works. I'm like, it's a bit, like, it's a funny bit, and we're, like, having, like, a little tete-a-tete.
Yeah, it felt, not, I don't want to go as far as saying wholesome, but it's just fun, just ribbing, man. People just busting balls.
Exactly what the O&A show was. You know?
Yeah.
I grew up, for me, it was, like, one of the coolest fucking things. Like, it's repeatedly surreal for me to talk with Anthony and Jim Norton and Bobby Kelly and all these guys I grew up listening to. It's
same.
It's
never, weird for me.
Right? It, like, never is not fucking surreal. You know what I mean? So, to me, it was like, can I even take this, like, a step further and, like, fuck with this, like, and mess with Opie and, like, try and actually, like, play in the sandbox? You know what I mean? I felt like it was in the spirit of, like, what O&A has always been, you know what I mean? And I think everyone took it that way except for Opie.
But you know what it might also be? Because they got him and Anthony, you know, the fans, remember when the fans turned on them? So they probably got so much harassment that in his view, he's not filtering it. He's like, this guy's fucking with me, he probably hates me, he's talking shit about me. So he probably sees it all as one blanket.
Yeah, and there's a little, I guess there's like a little more to it. Like, I have tried to be booked on. I tried to get booked on, like, when he was on Sirius, and they'd be like, nah, And I was like, is this because I do Anthony's show? You know what I mean? And not. And it was kind of like he would do this thing where he'd pretend like he had no idea who I was on stuff. And I'd be like, I know you at least know a little bit who I'm not saying like, oh yeah, Will Noonan's like a word that comes out of your mouth, but like you've at least seen my name like on possible lists of guests or whatever.
Or rapists. You're aware of you're aware of me.
You've at least seen the top 10 most wanted rapists.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no photo, but you've seen the goddamn name. But it's a weird passive aggressive move to do shit like that.
Whenever someone asks him on Twitter, like, why won't you talk to Will Noonan or will you ever work with Will Noonan? He's like, I don't know who that is. Who is that? Like, that's his every time. So
it's weird because I love those guys the way they were back in the day. And it's just so, the bitterness, I don't know what the fuck it is. It's weird. And there's a lot of comics too that I see now. You know how you're busting balls and we're having fun. And I see some people, it's like they have podcasts, and I've never met them in real life, but I'll see how they are with other podcasts. They'll get upset, and a podcast will joke about it, and then they'll tell their fans, report them.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, report them on YouTube and shit like that. And it's like, they're just fucking around, dude. You're taking it to a weird level.
Yeah, I don't like the whole mess with people's like livelihood. I've had a few people try and call like the company. That's why I'm so like cagey now about like who I do commercial for and talking about it and stuff, because I had someone do that with me, like they just an Opie fan or who thought I'm fucking with Opie, tried to like, you know, call up who people I work for and like fuck with them and say that I'm like a, you know, whatever can get you fired, like a racist or a bigot. And then I forget what it was actually. Someone said something about me and I was a little worried about it, and I called like the ad agency and they're like, dude, if we freaked out about every like email we got about you.
We get a lot. Some people send videos.
Yeah, they're like, we get a lot of positive stuff too, but people are just gonna be like, I don't like his face. You know what I mean? It's just like that's what people do. You know, people are just like,
people are fucking crazy.
I get people talking to me about good things about their car that they bought, and then I get people coming up to me complaining about their car.
They blame you. I only bought it because of your fucking commercial, you stupid son of a bitch.
It's always like, it's never like a big thing. It's always like a design flaw. They're like, I don't like the new touch screen, man. I'm like, I know. I'm telling them next meeting. I'm like, no more. People are telling me no more touch screens because they come right to the guy in the commercial for the design of the car.
Yeah, people here in on the French scene. Mike was informing me that Quebecers sometimes will find actors in big dramas that play here in the grocery store and yell at them about stuff they did on the scene.
Oh yeah.
So they'll be like, I can't believe you left her for that other whore.
Yeah.
And the guy would have to be like, you know that's not real, right? Like, what? I'm not a bad guy. Oh, I know you. You're a piece of shit. And these are like 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds. It's not like they're 80.
Oh yeah. I had a friend who was in soap operas in the States. When we were in college, and he was older than me, and I remember he was such an interesting kind of famous too, because back then there was no social media or anything, so it was like you'd spend a whole day with this guy and no one would recognize him, and then you'd walk into like a supermarket or a mall and people would be like, oh my god, like you get mobbed, you know what I mean, by housewives. And it was the same thing. And we were in a supermarket, but he was like a good guy, and people would be like, you're so sweet to her, and like, are you guys gonna get back together? And he'd be like, I don't know. He had adopted like, he was like, I don't know, they don't tell me anything.
Yeah.
But it is funny. I mean, I've felt that way. I don't really get superstar struck around too many famous people, but sometimes when I meet athletes, I get like that. I'm like, remember when you hit that homer in the World Series? You know what I mean? I
think it depends, who it is. Like, if I would ever get to meet like a Michael Jordan, I'd probably be starstruck.
Is that Bayern Munich behind you on the picture? Is that
no, that's AEK Athens. That's AEK. That's my favorite team. Yellow and black, the team from Athens. There was a goal that we scored against.
I knew that was like some sort of ultra.
Yeah,
like behind you, right? Like that's
the player, right? Look at this, bam, right there. He scored a goal and then went up to the fence with the fans, and he was going crazy on the. It was a big moment in the '90s.
I like sports. You're Greek, huh?
Yeah.
Greek and French Canadian.
I'm not. Mike is French Canadian. I'm Greek.
But you're just. But I mean,
I live here. I live here, but
born in Greece?
No, I was born in Montreal, which is why I speak all the languages here. But I'm a Canadian. I live in Quebec, so I'm Quebecer by birth, let's say. But I'm a Greek guy. So it's weird because here people, they're like, yeah, he's ethnic. He's a Greek guy. But every time I leave, like I'll go to the States, they'll be like, you're a French guy. I'm like, nobody calls me French. I have a huge accent.
Here we would say you're French Canadian. And also it's funny that Greek is ethnic. Like, oh God, what guys wouldn't do here to be considered like a person of color for being Greek.
Oh, here, dude, it's growing up now, no one is now they fit me in. Now I'm a white guy, but growing up I was ethnic, you know. And then one day it just changed, and one day I became a white guy, like I'm British and I'm the enemy. I was like, I don't know.
That's so fun. I know, man.
I didn't make these rules.
I know. I thought being an artist made you like, obviously not a fucking like racist.
Oh, dude, it doesn't matter now. If somebody doesn't like you, they'll say the craziest shit. I've gone into Twitter beefs with people that don't know me. That one guy's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell people." I asked the question. Remember Parler? Parler started blowing up, and I tweeted. I go, "So what's this shit? Do I have to get on this Parler thing? Is it like Twitter? Like, what's the point of having two Twitters?" I go, "Explain. Why do I need this?" And then somebody's like, "You're a fucking racist because you're asking questions about Parler." And I was like, "What?"
Oh yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah. That's the like thought police. Like you stepped into an area there that was like not allowed. Yeah,
and I was like, "I'll make a profile now. Fuck you. I'll make a profile." Like, how does it make me racist? I'm promoting the same videos. Like, check out my YouTube.
I get it on both sides. Like, if I make a joke about the Republicans, all the Republican followers are like, "You're fucking. Why you trying to be political, Will? Like fucking lefty, libtard, Will." And then if I make a joke about Biden, it's like Will, what you red pill, like QAnon believe in, like motherfucker.
You're a fucking Nazi.
Yeah, you're a Nazi.
They're so crazy, bro.
I don't want to be part of either camp, but
I keep telling people, stop joining these fucking groups.
I know.
Why do you want to fit in these stupid boxes? They're all dumb.
I just hate the whole, like, you can't even discuss. So I was like on our show yesterday, the Noonan show, we were talking about, I said, it's weird, like I've seen when I was a bartender, sometimes I would see two like drunk white guys, like college age white guys. They'd get in a fight and they'd start calling each other like while they were fighting. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, and it was like to imitate like rappers. You know what I mean? They would like imitating tougher men than them, or men they considered tougher than them. And I remember thinking like, this is so fucked up. Like, obviously any black dude walking by right now would like want to kick both these guys' asses. I'm sure both of these dudes have no idea that they're even like doing this. But then I was like, and then I was kind of talking about that on the show, and I was like, and also like my girlfriend rides a Peloton, and like half the songs are like N-bomb, 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 and I'm like, so like, what's to keep some dude who listens to that Peloton? What if he like every morning he like Pelotons listening to like subconscious N-words.
Yeah.
And then he goes out that night and gets blackout drunk.
And starts singing.
Yeah. It starts like singing. And he drops an N-bomb,
And he gets beat up.
And then like it's on video, his career's over. So
like, I just love Cardi B. He's getting kicked in the head.
Yeah, exactly. I was Kanye, gold digger. I was like, what's the difference between like language does work in that way. Like sometimes you can't help yourself. Like the only time I ever had a problem with that word in my life was like I was in 2008, the Celtics won the championship, and I was out partying with two black friends, and they were calling each other that word all night. Right? So we're getting blackout drunk, and like while we're getting in the cab at the end of the night, I was like, "Come on!" Like, and said it just like they had said it all night, right?
And then they stopped you?
It was like, and then I was like, I immediately like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, man, I don't know. I think I just said it. Can you guys say it? And they're like, wow, well, it's tonight's the night. If you're going to say it, the Celtics won the championship. Like, we're all celebrating, da, 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 da. But I remember thinking, like, I'm not even going to now, like, when I'm in the car listening to music, like, I don't drink anymore either, so it's really not going to happen. But it's kind of like, I just think, so anyway, the point is, even talking about this on the podcast, I was like, am I going to get fucking killed for even like
talking about a subject?
Talking about how it could be maybe not pure hatred and just sort of like maybe even worse, maybe you're just a poser. Like,
A poser too, and also we keep forgetting that the culture is gonna dictate a lot of our behavior because it's what we see. So it's like people who they say now, like the whole Chris D'Elia thing and all that, like, oh, who are these people? They're having sex. But dude, our entire culture is sexualized. So even though I think the D'Elia apology was a little wacky, it was all over the place, it's still, of course, this guy's anywhere he goes, he can just message someone and fuck all these broads, So, and the culture's always saying that, bitches, get money, fuck bitches. And then he started doing that, and it ruined his fucking life. He's repeatedly cheating on his wife and shit.
I think for him it crossed into like he became like a sex addict. You know what I mean? It seemed like when you're like ghost, like cold texting hot 17-year-olds. He was just going through Instagram like randomly, like not even his own followers. He was just like searching Instagram and being like, "You're hot, like I'm famous." You know what I mean? That to me is.
And he never asked for ID, and therein lies the problem.
yeah. I also think he fucked around like with the states. Like, well, I'm in this state, so 17 is the age. It's like, yeah, but you're still like a famous person, and everyone's gonna think of you as like. I don't feel bad for that dude at all.
No, I don't feel bad because why would you fuck? You could find hot chicks that are of age.
Yeah, no, I know. It's like, and just looking at what briefly I saw about that, I'm like, it seemed exhausting. Like I was like. I've tried to, in my life, I've hooked up with some fans. It's like a tiring fucking day. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I was like, it's not really worth it. It's kind of like weird. It's like disappointing for everybody involved. Like they're disappointed. I'm disappointed. Like I'm far from being Chris D'Elia, but it's like, I used to be a karaoke DJ and I used to always say I got more girls doing that than I did doing comedy, man. It was like, I was there, the alcohol was flowing, but you got to be careful. I dated a girl who kind of hit me up off Snapchat, and she told me she was 21, and she ended up being like 19.
Oh, shit.
This is like 7 years ago. But I ended up dating her like for like a while after that. But I remember thinking so she goes, this is so long ago. She goes, yeah, I'm really 19. I was like, what? I was in my 20s. I'm like, I can't date a teenager. And then I was like,
wait a second. Is that why your parents keep picking you up from my place?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, now I really need to see your ID because what if you're not even 19? What if you're actually like, she looked like Pantelis. She looked 25. Bro.
My thing is, why I have no sympathy for like the whole, because I get annoyed by 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like if I can't talk to you at all and I'm going to get irritated, the attraction leaves.
Oh, at this point in my life, 100%.
Yeah. She was a hot 20-year-old. Have you heard her speak? Has she opened her fucking mouth?
I was starting to headline a little bit, and I was like, I want to hook up with like a girl who hit me up on social media. You know what I mean? Of course, being me, I ended up dating her for like a year after that. It's like,
you fucking idiot.
Not the cool move at all, but even though my fiance now, I met her at a show. She was in the audience at a show.
But she's an adult, and she was a nurse. She's a goddamn professional.
Physical therapist, above a nurse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's technically a doctor.
So if you get injuries, she nurses you back to health?
Yeah, and she's done that a few times. She's also practiced her, like when a new technique comes out, she'll practice it on me.
What do you mean, like a new technique?
Only
like
one
snap your back and shit?
Yeah, only one time has she hurt me. All the other times she's helped me.
Oh, you got hurt?
Yeah, one time she, I've never even told her this, but one time she was like, I need to practice this new back like technique on you. And I was just like, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I never have thought about it.
It's a free massage.
It never hurts. Yeah, it's always like very light. And then she's like a chiropractic type shit to my back. And I was like, oh, thanks. And it was like 3 days. I was like, Jesus, what the fuck? Like I was like, she probably did permanent damage back there.
I'm going back to the 19-year-old. This is bullshit.
Yeah, the 19-year-old's like probably fucking 28 now.
It's crazy how like everyone's getting shit canned right now, but a lot of them kind of it's their some people reach oh, cancel culture, they reach for stuff. But some of this shit, like the deleted thing, is like it's not really a reach. It's like it's a fucked up situation.
I felt the same way about the girl from The Mandalorian. At first, I was pissed about. All I saw was the headline, and I was like, "Who gives a fuck? Like, if she's a Republican, you know?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
Like, but then I read that she's like basically comparing herself to like a Jew in World War II, and I'm like, okay, like you do know, like you can't do that, and also like in your industry, you can't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but you know what's fucked up about her is that apparently her co-star did the same thing. Almost identical tweet, but the other way around. He said that Democrats were being treated like Jews were before, and that was cool. That's why people on the internet freaked out. Yeah, people are like, wait, hold on a second.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why people freaked out. Because they go, wait a second, what's this fucking double standard?
Who's the co-star? Who said that?
The guy who does The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal.
Oh, like Pedro Pascal?
That's his name, yeah.
He's like you. He's an ethnic guy.
He's an ethnic, yeah. But who's going to... It's weird, this whole ethnic thing. He's considered ethnic, but if I come to the States, I'm considered French. I'm not even French. They're just giving me a nationality that I'm not.
You ever watch that show 90 Day Fiance?
No, but I've seen clips of it.
What's funny about that show is the Americans think every other country is like a shithole. They think everyone wants American citizenship. So there's always people on that show who there's like Spanish people, you know, in Spain, like Pedro Pascal, like beautiful fucking Mediterraneans, you know, and their family members are like, she just wants a fucking green card. She just wants your fucking citizenship. I'm like, have you been to fucking Spain? Like, she should stay there. Like, she's an idiot to want to move to Alabama from Spain.
Alabama, yeah, but the States is fucking, people talk shit, but America's America, bro. America's awesome. Hey guys, this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in discreet packaging. The process is simple. You sign up at bluechew.com, you consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part? It's all done online. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find out the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. You don't like swallowing pills? No problem. They're chewable. And Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA. They're prepared direct to ship, so it's cheaper than any pharmacy. So if you could benefit from a little bit of extra confidence from time to time in the bedroom, head over to bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. Also, special offer for the podcast listeners. You head over to bluechew.com and you can try it for free. You just got to pay $5 for shipping. Use promo code Pantelis. Bluechew.com. Promo code Pantelis. You receive your first month free. You just got to pay $5 for shipping. It's a great deal. Thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Oh, I love it. I'm just saying it's always funny to me how people see these other, like it is, sometimes it is some girl from like a slum in Brazil and you're like, yeah, this is a huge move up. But other times it's like a beautiful European country like we go to on vacation. Yeah. And they're like, she just wants a green card. She just wants to be in America. It's like, she doesn't live in abject poverty. Like she works at the Gap. Her dad's retired. Like,
yeah, she's from like, fucking Liechtenstein.
Yeah, like those kind. Yeah, or like any place in France that's not Paris.
Yeah, or Marseille. Apparently, Marseille is a shithole.
Really? I've never been. I've been to when I was 17. I went to Paris briefly, and I went to like the south of France, like Cannes, and
Selma Hayek was discovered at Cannes.
Really?
Yeah, but not for acting. She was an escort. There were a bunch of escorts, and they would bring them during those festivals, and they would bang all like the producers and the directors on yachts.
Doesn't surprise me.
Interesting, yeah. She was an escort. The more you know about Salma Hayek.
The more you know. I mean, what's the difference between being an escort? Like a lot of like your ways into show business this didn't work for me, but I got a job once when I was a young actor in acting school at like as a caterer,
Okay.
and they would put us in these skin tight t-shirts, and a woman would come down the line and she'd like pull on the t-shirt, and if it like came off your body like even an inch, she'd be like, another t-shirt, a smaller t-shirt for this one. Like it had to be like
That's hilarious.
cut you out of it.
That's
And then you would go and wait on these, like they'd be like important people, like in show business.
and they just wanted you tight.
Yeah, they just wanted you tight. And it was funny. It was like the auditions. It was like I would always be like a last minute fill in. So I'd be there with all these like really handsome guys, and I'd be like,
I'm Will.
I'm Will Noonan. I'm a stand up comic. They ran out of models. Who wants a bit,
Dude, we were talking earlier before about girls that I grew up with here, that we grew up, like my friends that they came to the studio, and they were telling about girls that we grew up with that are now high-end escorts. And they're like, yeah, high-end, and they get paid to go on trips. Like they'll get paid, like let's say 30 G's for a weekend, and they'll fly with these fucking nerds to different places, and sometimes they won't even bang them.
I've heard about that too. I know, actresses, when they're on the come up, it's like it's an interesting world we live in where
it's crazy, yeah,
can be moved so quick. You know what I mean? I've heard of these dudes. It's like they have whole relationships with like women they've never met.
Yeah.
They're sending them money, the girl's spending the money, taking pictures. But yeah, I've noticed OnlyFans. There was a comic that it's funny how the trends in comedy change, because there's this comic. I must have done a show with her like 7 years ago, and she was like, ultra political, like shaved head, like the wokest, like just feminist comic. And now she's like got an OnlyFans, and she's like, I was like, that can't be her. And then I was like, it is her. And it's like her hair's long now, and she's looking like she's slowly looking more and more like a porn star. I'm like, how much can you do porn before you start to look like a porn star?
Yeah. I mean, it is porn.
That's the thing I think is kind of sad about it. It's like, at the end of the day, you can say a lot of different things, but it's like a little sad, And I think
I have zero issue with it as long as everyone is aware of the long-term consequences of someone you don't like or your kids coming home from school showing a pussy your picture your snatch. That as long as you know what's possible in the future, then who gives a fuck? Who am I to judge?
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. Like I think my opinion of it is like if it's like something, I think there are in today's world, people grew up. It's like the WWE, right? Like years ago, it was like you ended up in the WWE. It was like you failed at something else. Like you failed at football, or like right? It was like you failed at act. Like it was like you're not gonna make it in other things, so you'll be a pro wrestler, right? But now all these dudes in the WWE, like they grew up only wanting to be in the WWE. That's their goal. They wanted to be wrestlers. They went to wrestling camps. They wanted to be wrestlers their whole lives. So now you got a generation of chicks, they grew up watching porn. And I think it's kind of cool that if you want to do porn without actually becoming a porn star, you can do that now. And it's like socially acceptable. So I think if it's like something you like really want to do, I think it's dope. But I think there's a lot of women in America who just need money right now. And they're kind of like telling themselves like this is something they want to do. But like you said, like maybe years later, or maybe like when times aren't so financially tough, they'll be like, was that something I really wanted to do? Or was it kind of like sad?
Oh, that would be rough. That's too much of a pill to, fuck, that's hard to swallow.
That's just Catholic school Willie coming at you. It came right through, man. It was like, that was just fucking...
Yeah, because
coming right in.
Imagine, because we have as comics too, we have bits or anything that we regret. But imagine the shit that you regret is just you naked and it's there for everyone still. Like people can still share it. So you regret it, but you can never get rid of it. It's like a shitty kid.
I mean, I had a roommate who used to live in fear of it. He went through a phase when he was like 18 or 19 where he was making money, trying to like, he was doing some real shady stuff online for people, like just on camera, you know what I mean? But got some money and he stopped. He freaked himself out. He stopped. This is like years before I ever even met the guy. But I remember he used to get kind of drunk, and he'd be like, I live in fear of some of those videos just popping up one day, because I did some fucking fucked up shit for the money. And I'm like, yikes. And I remember that was a real thing he carried.
What is the person you're talking about? Jake Flores drinking his own cum? Because he doesn't seem to be living in fear. He seems to be cool with it.
No, I've heard about that though.
Yeah, me too. I saw it on Twitter. It made me laugh a lot. I like watching people's rivalries with each other, and you don't know where it's gonna escalate to. So you think it's just like, you're stupid. No, you're stupid. And you're like, okay, it's enjoyable. And then, wait, are you drinking your own cum? Yeah, I gotta pay the rent. And I was like, whoa, guys, this is. Why are you saying that on Twitter?
I gotta pay the rent.
Yeah.
Well, you're not drinking your own cum. Oh, someone has rich parents.
Yeah. Well, I guess someone's making money podcasting. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? You have to, like, how
Must be nice.
And then when he's getting made fun of about not being a good comic, it's like, I've never seen him perform comedy. I assume by his attitude he's not a good comic. But when you have to drink cum in a city where other people don't have to drink cum and they could just do stand-up, yeah, you might not be a good comic. You might not.
It's like, why am I on the side having to argue that drinking cum makes you a bad comic? Like, why? Yeah,
exactly.
Why
it's
do
like,
I
look,
have to argue that?
Luis J. Gomez isn't drinking cum. I'm assuming he's better at this business than you.
Yeah, no one's like, Bill Burr. He always says, start with drinking cum.
Yeah.
Get a podcast, do open mics.
Yeah. And then you get your friend to slander everyone else in the scene, and then maybe you'll take over. Yeah. Imbeciles.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, Boston's scene sounds a lot like Montreal's, and it's like there's always those dudes in any comedy scene who will do fucking anything but write a funny joke to try and get famous.
Yep.
Like I see it when I travel too. Someone will talk about this dude, and I'm like, if these guys spent fucking an hour a day writing, they'd probably like at least be funny enough that they could be the dickhead they want to be.
Dude,
You know what I mean?
I had I don't want to call it a conversation, but I remember a little while back, and I had like maybe 2,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and a guy, he's a comedian. Well, I'm using this in quotes. So he calls himself a comedian, and he was asking about podcasting and my YouTube channel, and he goes, "What did you do? Like, how come you have 2,000 people right now, and I don't have anybody on my channel?" And I was like, all right, well, let me look at your channel. Like, what do you have on there? And there was one video on there from years ago. I'm like, well, you have nothing on your channel. He's like, yeah, but if I had subscribers, I would put stuff. I was like, well, that's not how it works. You like a restaurant has meat stuff in there ready, and when you come and you order, they can give it to you. They don't wait for people to show up and like, all right, next week, guys, I'm gonna get you all some meals. You fucking imbecile. You have to put some work in.
I mean, I think that's the way a lot of people look at life in general. You know what I mean? I've always thought that there's those comedians who sit around and they watch it. Why is that guy like fucking getting that? It's like, well, he travels. He like went to trying something out. He's like
drank some cum. He did a lot. Yeah, he did a lot along the way.
Fucking cum. Guy's not afraid to do what he's got to do. But it's true. I don't know. Anytime I do something cool in show business, like my phone rings for like a week with dudes who are just like, they're a little high and they're like, yeah, I want to fucking start working hard, dude. What do I got to do?
And you're like, exactly what you said. Start working hard.
Yeah, just start working, dude. That's what I always tell. My favorite thing too is this happens a lot. It hasn't happened because I haven't seen a lot of young comics in the past year, but I host a show here, or used to host a show on Mondays near my house, and it would be like a total mix of like guys who've been doing it for fucking 20 years and some guys who've been doing it for like a year. I'd try and like really mix it up. And a lot of times people come up to me and be like, I'm thinking about doing comedy or something. Or the guy had just started like, so like, when do I start making money? And like, when do I start asking for how much money? And I'd be like, I didn't become a full-time comedian until I'd been doing it like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And then it's not like I moved into a fucking mansion. It was like, that was a very tough year to make that step off.
The transition.
The transition year was brutal and scary. And it's very scary to be in business for yourself, no matter what you do. You know what I mean? So I always see, when I say that 7-year number, which is like even really on the generous side, like, I see people's fucking like it's like the comedian who hears that and goes like, okay, just 7 years. That's the guy who's going to fucking make it. The guy who can't take that and is like, I'll do it in one. I'm always like, yeah, maybe, dude. But that dude who just blows right by it is like 7 years, fine. All right, I'm on my way. I'm like, that guy's gonna do fine in this business.
Because he's gonna keep working. I know I'm at my. This is I'm at 9. This is 9 in stand up, and 11 in podcasting.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I was podcasting in 2010. I started podcasting in October of 2010.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it took forever to get anything.
Feel as a stand-up. Well, see, I remember thinking around. I mean, I've been doing it 14 years now, but I remember thinking that around 7, 8, 9 years is when I really started to like click.
Same. That's how I feel. Yeah. And even it's weird because podcasting, I was doing it for longer, right? 2 years before I ever started stand-up, but I became a better stand-up faster than I became a good podcaster. It was in me. Stand-up was, and I liked everything about it. The writing, the rhythm, all that stuff, bouncing back and forth with people. But no matter what, I was never, it's something that you have to put time in it. No matter how good you are, you're not good enough.
Oh,
it's
nothing taught me that like this pandemic, right? So it's like, I fucking was humbled by my return, you know what I mean? After 4 or 5 months of not doing it, I remember thinking, yeah, like it's going to be a little rusty, but I'll get it back or whatever quick. And I got all this new material. And I was like, fuck this new material. Like, I have to remember how to do my own material. I have to remember how to do stand up well. Like, and not just me, I was looking at everyone and I'm like, we're all fucking struggling here. Some of the guys who had been like 30, 40 years, they were smart enough to just go like, I'm doing my tried and true, like, shit that I can do in my sleep.
Yeah, let me get back on the bicycle before I try a fucking unicycle.
Exactly. I'll fully admit that I was like, I'll do one of those. I'm gonna razzle dazzle with my new shit just like I did before. Like, I'm just gonna pick right up where I left off, and it was like not that fucking way. Like, and it made me really kind of, I always respect stand up, but I was like, man, like this thing really is like a muscle, and it really is like working out or anything where it's like, you gotta fucking make sure you're on top of it or else, it's the same thing you hear before pandemic. A guy would get a movie career or an acting career or something, takes a year off. It's like, you don't just pick that shit up. It's a skill.
No. You can't just go to the Laugh Factory and start dropping N-bombs. You can't do that. It takes skill.
Do you ever work with Brett Ellis, the comic from LA?
Oh, I think so. No.
He was.
Did he pull that shit too?
He was there that night. No, he tells this. He's got a great story because my favorite part of that story that people don't know, and this is just legend. I don't know if it's true, but that was just the only one that got recorded. He tried that bit 3 times that night. That was the 3rd time.
Wait, that was a bit?
He tried it at the Improv earlier, and it like did okay, but it was just kind of like, oh, weird. And then he went to the Laugh Factory and tried it there.
Wait, he was telling 3 times the same night. He was telling black people that if it was back in the day, he'd hang them.
I've heard that people saw him do that bit hours earlier at the Improv.
That was a bit. Yo, this guy really pushed his luck.
And then, so the whole excuse of like it just happened in the moment and da 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 is like not true. That's the point of the story.
You know what's crazy is then he should have went with the truth. That's a way better excuse. Look, I was trying something out. Like, you got to try it out to see if it works. I was trying out all night. I'm an artist. I'm experimenting.
My fucking can you hear that, by the way? My fucking like
what's happening?
Smoke alarm is chirping.
Oh, I don't know if I pick it up. Sometimes I don't notice it.
I was like, what the hell is that? Of course it hasn't happened the whole year, and it's happening right now
when you're recording.
While I'm recording with you, but
dude, I didn't know that. That's a funny story, dude. It was a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally like secondhand. Like, I got that from a dude I opened for, but he was telling that story, and I was like, yeah, I heard he went out and did the bit.
Well, I heard he was an asshole.
Well, you can kind of if you ever watch the Seinfeld like DVDs, like all DVDs, they have like blooper reels.
Yeah.
And he's like a fucking prick. Like, you can tell watching him, like they're all like laughing, and he's like, "All right, let's fucking get it next take." You know what I mean? He's like serious, and like you can just tell he's kind of a prick.
It's weird that he plays such a wacky. That happened to me when I started getting better gigs and I was going around different cities, that's when I started to get a bit jaded because I was still like a kid. I was like, I can't believe it. I'm a comedian. I'm making money in comedy. People are laughing. It's a fun time. And then you'd meet comics that you've seen on TV and you're all excited.
Yeah.
And then they turned out to be assholes, some of them. And you're
I
like,
know
what
that's
the
a tough
fuck, man?
part of it.
I thought you were a cool dude.
I've had pretty good luck with that. I'm trying to think of like, you know, it's funny that I totally get that. I was that way. Like I was the exact same way, man. Like to the point where I even think I annoyed some people, but I was like so fucking excited to be there. There was a night I remember like being backstage in Boston and this comic was like, just relax.
You were
Because I was just like, I'm fucking doing it. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm here, I'm doing comedy. And he was like, just relax. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay. Like, I was like, I need to be a little less eager to like succeed here. But yeah, that does suck. That's like why, you know, Greg Fitzsimmons was a guy I opened for him for a weekend. And I was I was such a big fan of his. I was so afraid that he was going to be an asshole that like I didn't even want to be around him. And then he was like, you want to have lunch tomorrow? And I was like, okay. And then he ended up being like the best guy. And I like still talk to him and everything. But it was like, I was so afraid that he would be an asshole so I try and give everyone the benefit of the doubt. What I think is the funniest thing in this business is when you like meet someone who, and then like you're annoyed with them. Like they go from like being your hero to you're like, all right, like
fuck off. Oh, that's happened to me too. I got a guy in mind. I'm not gonna mention him.
Yeah, same. But first time they text you, you're like, I can't believe this guy's texting me. And then like a week later, you're like, I'm gonna fucking block.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it, bro. Holy shit.
We gotta trade after, but everyone's got a few of those, especially in comedy.
And there's people like I still care about them, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're a mess.
Yeah, sometimes you meet these people and you're like, oh, that's why. Like, you know, it was like I only briefly kind of hung around, like, and met Artie Lang, but it was like part of knowing Artie Lang is like you meet Artie Lang, it's super awesome. He disappears from your life, and then like a newspaper in New Jersey calls you and asks you questions about him.
That's funny.
And I said that to someone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's like being friends with Artie. Like it's like a train you hop on and hop off, and then you get a call once in a while, like Artie's in jail. What do you think?" And you're like, "He is? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I talked to him a week ago. He said he's great. You know, like." And then you're like, "Oh, I'm one of those people now who's saying Artie's great."
Yeah. I became one of them. It's funny because there's some stuff that you don't notice until somebody points out, like that's, you know, people that you looked up to, you liked, and then you're with them and you're getting along with them. Like I know for me, so I like Robert Kelly. I like Bobby Kelly. I think he's a fucking good dude and he's fun. And every time I'm with him, like he did 2 Drink Minimum when they were in Montreal, and I had done Kumia with him one time when I came down to New York. And it's always a fun time, like because he reminds me of, he has similar stories to how I grew up. His friends, the delinquents, the juvie, all that. So to me, I like this guy. And there was a photo before I did stand up, one of my buddies had, and I don't know if I still have the picture, but he had sent me that day when I went on Kumia. It was a screenshot, and it was like from fucking 10 years ago, and it was me at Just for Laughs, like taking a photo with Robert Kelly. I had no beard, nothing, like a kid. And then me and him years later on the show just laughing together. And I was like, holy fucking shit, I never thought about that. It's so I didn't even remember that I had seen him then. It doesn't come in your head. And I'm like, fuck, that is a strange moment.
I mean, dude, I was like, I feel that way about Bobby too. He's from Boston, so I saw him a lot like when I was in high school here. And same with Bill Burr. They were on shows together all the time. And my dad was a Boston cop, so it was like they do these benefits for the cops and Burr. And for me, it was so funny because I went to college in New York. So it was like I was 18 in New York, and I went to a comedy club, and I saw Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neal, and a bunch of other comics. But I recognized Burr and Patrice from Boston comedy. And I'm like 19, you know. So I'm like, I go up after a show. It's like 11 people. And I shake Burr's hand, and I'm like, oh, I'm from Boston too. And he's like, oh, cool. Da-da-da-da-da. Then it's like years later, I do comedy, and my friend opens for him at the Wilbur. So I go to the Wilbur and like meet him again. And I'm like, so weird. I keep seeing this guy at like different stages of my life. And then last year I opened for him at a club here in Boston, and we were like backstage before the show talking, and I was like, how is life like this long? Like, how did this even fucking happen that like I'm actually now about to bring him on stage, like after, like because it feels like yesterday I was watching him in the club and going like, hey, I'm from Boston, like it's pretty cool to see you in New York, you know what I mean?
You know what the next move is? The next move is you got to get him to open for you.
Yeah,
you can't stop here. You can't just open for Bill Burr.
No, it got to keep going.
You got to keep going.
Going.
Billy, I want to take you on tour.
Hire him and fire him. That's like the next move. It's like,
yeah, circle of life.
Done.
I have a thing with I only noticed recently when I analyze my comedy and just my sensibilities in comedy and how I write jokes and how I do it. But I think because you've never heard, I guess, actual Montreal comedians. Like if you come down, you'll see what a Montreal accent is that I don't have, and what they talk about. It's very different. So I was never, I didn't have a Montreal comedian that I knew to look up to get influenced. So all my influences later on, like when I was podcasting, were Boston, New York guys. So even LA comedy, I could feel the difference because I'm like, that's kind of hacky. That's this, that's that. Because I was so influenced by a harder, fast, hitting New York or Boston type of comedy.
That makes sense, though. I always wondered where you came from. I'm like, how does Pantelis, like, the one Canadian on Compound, like, and he's like, gets all the bits and everything, but that totally makes sense, Your sensibilities are that way, too.
Yeah, and I was influenced by it. I never noticed until recently. I was analyzing, I go, how come I don't sound like the locals, especially on the comedy scene? I was like, why don't I talk about the same stuff? Why don't we sound the same? And I was like, okay, so they were influenced by this, and I was influenced by that. So that's all it is. It was just what came in your head.
I liked you right away. I remember thinking how funny it was that they knew they could put us on a team for that trivia thing. And get along. And I was like, it seems like we're like the two nicest dudes.
And win. But how could we lose? Fucking Bisconte is an alcoholic. He's drinking at 11 a.m. We had it in the bag.
Bisconte was very, like, he didn't want to be there. What the fuck?
We had to beat drug addicts, alcoholics, and buffoons. If we had lost that will, we should have quit comedy.
I know, it was still a good time. That ended up being so much more like fun than I thought it was going to be. Yeah,
I didn't think it was going to be fun and then we had gone on. It was fun because me and you were fucking around. That's why it was fun.
Yeah, Bobby described it like I thought it was like going to be a trivia night at like his local like bar or something like that.
I thought it was going to be more serious. And then when he said you get the questions beforehand, you got to search for the answer. I was like, what? It's not trivia. That's homework.
Yeah. Well, you know my favorite? You said Montreal accent. I was in Montreal one time, and I just love how like Montreal, some of the homeless drink red wine in Montreal. Like you don't see that in other, not like outside of Europe, you just don't see that. You know what I mean? And I remember I'm walking down the street in Montreal. I was like, this fucking homeless guy. He's got a bottle of red wine, and I had a Red Sox hat on. And he goes, Red Sox. He goes, Yankees suck. Red Sox are the best. And I was like, you don't get that in the fucking States.
It's, dude, what's crazy is having homeless people here because they're bilingual. They speak 2 languages.
The smartest homeless people in the nation.
Yes,
in the world.
You're bilingual, bro. What are you doing? Poseidon has a fucking job. How do you not have any work? What's going on?
Yeah, they could translate. Like, they could just do homeless translations. They probably actually speak 3 languages. They speak English, French, and the language of the streets.
Dude, the language of the streets. There's years ago, I tried to find out more details here, but I couldn't. There's a bum king. There was, at least in Montreal.
Oh, really?
It was seldom talked about. You had to really press these goddamn fucking junkies. They had a hierarchy. And there was streets where it's like, no. This is his street. And that's his street. As it's come down by decree from the bum king, I
was going to say, Montreal homeless has a bum king, but Montreal comedy has a cum king.
Yeah,
he eats it.
Yeah, he eats it.
I fix this thing yet again. I can still hear it beeping.
Oh shit, dude! The fire department's coming.
My dog's gonna hate that.
Yeah, these fucking. It happens sometimes in my apartment too, where there's a day where randomly every hour beep.
Yeah, I think it's the battery or some stupid shit. I got like every window open because it's a nice day, so it's not going to be.
It's not smoke.
Carbon monoxide or smoke.
Yeah, you're getting poisoned. We don't know it. I get it on tape. You just dying.
Yeah. It's my last interview. I'm like, so anyway, Pantelis, the elephant behind me says you are a gentleman.
Yeah, he's just collapsed. Yo, what's the trip like for you to get to New York?
Oh, super easy. 3 hours, 3.5 hours driving.
This is driving, right? Straight? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can get there in multiple ways, but I was there constant. Like, so what's funny was right before, I always went there a lot. I mean, I lived there for 9 years myself. And then Boston's really close. So I was going there even in February last year. I was there like 3 times.
Okay.
So I would shoot down to do anything really. And then it was just like, this shit happened and it was just over.
Okay. I was wondering.
It's funny.
Because I like being there, obviously, but you could get there so much easier. Me, it's at fucking 6 to 8 hours, depending.
No, I know. I was like, I mean, I think even Montreal is from here is pretty far. I've driven up there. It's like 6 hours.
Yeah, I'd probably just fly. Like New York, the good thing is it's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But it's because it's international. They make me wait and.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. Like the Boston, New York one is actually pretty sweet. It's like, it's a 45-minute flight and not a lot of security. But I just always like driving because I can just smoke and smoke weed in my car and like stop when I want to stop and like stuff like that. But I was like the hotels were super cheap because Airbnb is so popular. So it was like all of a sudden I was like getting hotel rooms for like cheaper than I ever had. And I had just set up like that shit where it was like every third stay is free. You know what I mean? So I was like, great. Like I'm gonna be in New York like crazy in 2020. You know what I mean? And it was like fucking. I can remember I just done an album recording at the Cellar, at the Creek in the Cave, which isn't even there anymore.
Oh yeah, the girl's moving to Austin, I think.
Yeah, so I go to the Creek in the Cave, and we did it was a marijuana like album recording, and people were passing joints around, and some people were like, I'm not fucking with that because of Corona. And then I go back to the hotel room after, and I turn on the TV, and there's like a woman on the TV, and she's like, Americans are gonna have to start getting used to the idea of coronavirus disrupting their daily lives. And I was like,
shut up, bitch.
I ordered a burger from room service. I was like, what the fuck she talking about? She's crazy. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and I just, that was like my last memory of being in New York. And it was like a month later,
Yeah, I remember.
Less than a month.
Same with us. We were supposed to come and do a show at, I think, the Stand Up New York, May 1st of last year. And it was like a few weeks before. I was like, are we still going to make it? Are we? And then Cuomo came out and said, no, the entire fucking state is getting locked down. So I was like, God damn it. Yeah, everything just stopped.
Those days sucked when things were just dropping. Like
I canceled shows here. Festival. We had a theater booked. And it was the week where a Compound was doing a show in Philly. And they had asked me if I wanted to go down there. And I had said, no, I don't want to be part of that because I have my own show here, right? And Mike was supposed to go to Philly. And then he's like, I don't know if I should take the plane. They're talking about the virus. And then here that night, they're like, yeah, you can't do a show. It's an illegal gathering.
Whoa.
So I was like, what the fuck do I do about tickets? Like, people already bought these tickets. And then the theater was trying to stiff us by not refunding people. And I was like, look, man, you take it up with the fucking government. They shut down. But you got to give these people back their money. Like, there was this whole fucking... And then everything started going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, those days... My girlfriend was... she was at an orphanage in Ecuador. Like,
really?
February.
Her parents dropped her off there?
Yeah. That's where I picked... Like, I just ordered her.
That's where I got her.
They were just putting her in the box. It was... No, but she was down there. They go down. There's like an aid thing. They go down there and they do physical therapy on like poor Ecuadorians.
Oh, cool.
Kids. So she was down there for the second half of February. So I called her. First of all, it was like, you got to get back here. Like it's, the day after she got back, they shut down air travel. I go, you're coming back to like an extremely different country than you left. She was like, really? I'm like, I'm telling you. I'm like, people are so fucking tense. So she comes at the airport. There were a few people wearing masks at the airport, and it's like everyone was like, "What the fuck is going on?" But it was just that was the vibe, But she was like, "Yeah, on the air, like the feeling of being in America, and then coming back 2 weeks later, she's like, it's a different place." It's like so fucking tense in here.
We during that time so everything started locking down now. You're locked down, we're locked down in Canada, and we're like, shit, we got to get some guests. Let's just Skype in friends, comics from New York. So I can't remember if it was the episode where Earl Skakel called in from LA or if it was when Jim Florentine was on. But one of those episodes, 2 Drink Minimum, Poseidon phones in, you see he's on the screen, and he's in Chinatown. and everyone's freaking, like there's barely any people are hiding this and that, and he's going into a store, he's like, yeah, give me the egg roll thing, and he's just eating food, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And he's just walking around the streets of Montreal. We're doing a podcast, and he's there in camera. He does a little box with him talking to people in Chinatown. Like, just didn't give a fuck.
I would say those people, we've gone back and forth multiple times, like me and my chick. It's like those people were fucking, they had the best year. Those people who just didn't give a fuck.
Dude, he didn't catch anything. This motherfucker was at the airport every day. He went to Chinatown during the peak of this when everybody's like, avoid Chinatown.
Yeah.
He got nothing.
I mean, my brother-in-law's like that too, man. My brother-in-law does not believe in it. He's never done anything.
I guarantee you it's real. I can tell you that much. But it just seems like, you know, it's some people will kill him, other people it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's the deal. And it's like, it's also the whole it's a flu thing is like, that's not a lie, but it's like the flu can be deadly too. So it's sort of like, do you want to risk it? Do you really want to in a modern society risk killing all the old people?
Yeah, exactly. When you don't have to. But what if you really want to?
Yeah, if you really want to, that's another issue.
We need this to morph.
I was like, the whole problem is that ICUs are too small.
Yeah.
We need to make like fucking football field size ICUs, and we'll never have this problem again.
Which is a scary thing to think about. I think we need to wait till it evolves. And instead of killing the old people, it kills the really young people. We get ourselves some kind of international Chris Benoit situation going on, right? That's what we need to have.
That's exactly what they would name the virus, the Benoit strain, the Benoit variant.
Yeah, because you imagine, like, we have a serious issue here. COVID Benoit is rampantly ravaging through our streets.
First it kills the wife, then it kills the
child. Yeah. Men everywhere are rejoicing. Flights are now really quiet. Domestic violence has gone down drastically. It's a plus on many levels.
Well, that was I when this all started, I was like really like kind of nervous. I was trying to learn to make myself less nervous, and I was watching Spanish flu documentaries, and it's like that one killed people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and just like no one gave a fuck about this. People back then were like, well, I guess it's time to be young or old. But if you're one of those people, like, screw you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So old, it was the opposite. It was like old people were going out and being like, well, what the fuck? Are we supposed to just stop living? You know what I mean? So.
Well, no, we do this every couple of years. Apparently, it's a thing. We go through these cycles. Now, this one was forced because of that goddamn laboratory in Wuhan. However, it's you know, it's bound to happen. We keep fucking around with shit, we're going to get in trouble. What I don't get is everything they told us to watch out for last year, they're telling us to accept now. So last year, I remember they were saying, don't expect a vaccine before 2 years because we don't have enough time to test it. We might kill all of you. So don't expect anything. That would be dangerous. And now, less than a year later, like, yo, you got to take this.
I know.
Remember what I said last year? Forget what I said last year. Just take this.
No, I don't like people go crazy about someone who doesn't want to wear a mask. But I'm like, I totally get.
I get the mask.
You know, I get the mask, but I get why people hate being fucked with, right? It's like at the beginning of all this, they did say up and down. They were swearing up and down. You don't need it. You don't need a mask. You don't need a mask. Now, at that time, I was like, you're an idiot if you don't think a mask does something. Like, I was going to stores wearing a mask. I was one of the earlier people, and people thought I was crazy. But I was like, what's crazy is what they're saying. I was like, it's clearly... Like when you go and have your appendix taken out, they wear fucking masks. Yeah. It's like, it's just, you know, it's not going to cure anything. It's not 100%, but it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when they come out, you know, a couple months later and they're like, now you need to wear a mask. And if you don't wear a mask, you're a prick. I could see people being like, well, what is it? You know, they just tell us this, they tell us that, da 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 da. You know what I mean?
I'm a prick. Fuck you.
Yeah,
they'll just get mad.
They made a mistake. Like they that's on them to me. Like people love to point the finger at like dumb assholes. I'm like, well, you gave the dumb assholes a lot of ammunition, so that's on you.
Yep.
You know, like you can't let a dumb asshole be a little bit right, because once they get that, it's like, fuck you. They're just gonna take that little bit of righteousness and run with it.
That's what conspiracies are. They a little
Yeah.
bit of truth, and then all kinds of bullshit, and you're like, well, that part's true. So the fucking thing about the dragon might be real too.
Oh, I mean, it's the same. I think QAnon's fucking ridiculous, but I think Jeffrey Epstein isn't. Right? So it's like,
dude, Epstein clearly that's another suspicious thing. I remember that. The cameras were off, the guards fell asleep, but like all this weird shit had to happen at once. It's like, come on, guys.
there's all these photos of him with Donald Trump. Like,
Trump,
think that was
Clinton,
Donald
whoever the
Trump's,
fuck
like-
you want.
Donald Trump was like, I'm not going to be president and not at least do one murder. Like, you got to do a murder if you're a president. Like, it's part of it. Like, you get the power to kill somebody. You might as well do it.
Yeah,
He
he's
was
like, we need an expert in getting people to look like they killed themselves. Hillary,
so he
listen,
killed
I know we don't see eye to eye. I need you now more than ever. I need your skills.
He didn't even have to call her. He just looks over. They're all in the same apartment. They all live together and plan everything together.
There's weirdness. They probably don't live, but there's some weirdness with them. I'm sure there's a lot of wrestling shit going on. A lot of phony.
So I think this is like one of the things I always say, and people think it makes me like a Republican, but it's not. I actually probably more Democrat than anything, but it's like, I think that whole Tom Hanks having coronavirus was fake. Like,
I don't know if that, but why would he do that? Oh, to make people feel like safer, like you can get it and recover?
So here's my theory. Like, coronavirus has taken over the nation, the world. It's a big deal. Like, and Trump just wasn't doing anything, right? Like, the Trump administration wasn't doing what people considered to be enough. The Democratic Committee, right? The DNC. So I could see Obama being like, oh man, like, how can I help? I know. Let's get a famous person to say they have it, and then it'll humanize it. And then people, well, who do we know? Who's like, Tom Hanks? Everyone loves Tom Hanks, right? So it's like, he's the perfect guy. He's a huge member of the Democratic Party. He's like best friends with everybody. And all of a sudden, it's like America's favorite gentleman has a nice mild case of corona right at the beginning, and he's going to survive it. It was like, if Tom Hanks survives it, maybe we'll all survive it, you know?
Fuck.
So then and that was just kind of a fun little conspiracy for me. And then 6 or 7 months later, when that was kind of wearing off, who gets coronavirus? The Rock, another famous Democrat.
Did The Rock get coronavirus? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, very publicly. And he goes, oh, it's the scariest thing The Rock's ever had to deal with. I can't believe I've had some tough opponents, but coronavirus was the worst. So
Speaking in the first person is my toughest opponent. I keep going third.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is just, good old-fashioned, like, 1950s Hollywood. Like, listen, you want to be a real American hero? Tell the people you have coronavirus. You know what I mean? We need you right now.
The best was when Trump got it. Like, is he going to die? He's like, give me some McDonald's and shut the fuck up.
I do like when he was like, he demanded to be let out early, and then they were taking pictures of him, and he's like, he's like breathing so deeply.
He's like, they're not going to get me. They're not going to fucking get me, these commies.
Yeah, he just willed himself to not die from coronavirus. I hear that was really close.
Oh, really?
They say that. I think there's going to be a book that comes out like that says like that night, the one night Trump was in the hospital. I think he had one night where it was a serious battle.
Oh fuck! I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it was like you can kind of read between the lines. Like when the doctors, they're like, "Is he on oxygen? Was he ever on oxygen? He's not on oxygen right now." Like, you know what I mean? They were kind of like.
Well, I guess it's precaution too, because he was the president. You can't kill the president by accident. That would be fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know. There was an article here that was sort of, you could tell it was sort of like winking at that. It was like they rushed him the fuck to that hospital.
That's a good story. That's something I'd love to learn about behind the scenes. What happened?
Because I bet he was like, no. It's like any old man, like, I don't want to. And then it's like, you gotta go. Like, it's fucking time, it's serious.
Get in the fucking car, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. I drove my dad to that hospital when he had a heart attack. He went and took a shower and shaved first.
Yeah, dude. That's the kind of person my mom is too. Just tough as shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
He was like, he showered, shaved, and then he just knocked on my door. He's like, I think I need a ride to the hospital. I think I'm having a heart attack.
I look clean though. Don't worry about it.
I was like, okay. I was driving him there. I was just telling the story yesterday. I was like, I was like afraid he was gonna die. Like in my car, he looked so bad, It was a mile to the hospital, like not a short drive, and he ended up being fine. He's still.
What did they say? They said it was
fine.
just a mild heart attack.
No, he had surgery and everything.
Holy shit!
That day, it was a real deal.
Did you tell them this son of a bitch showered and shaved?
I did actually, because I was like, he was very calm about the whole thing, but I think he thought it might have been it at a couple times. Like,
fuck, that's scary.
Yeah, he was because it's like you lose your color. Like it's a weird thing, man. It's like he wasn't like painful really. He just said you just lose, like you're losing life. Like you're like tired, you're like sleepy, you're like your color goes. But they gave him stuff instantly that like thinned his blood, and he was fine. And then they did the surgery the next morning.
Fuck, I'm glad he made it. It's fucking scary, all that shit.
Oh, scary as hell. I ended up doing the Wilbur, which is a big like theater here. I opened for my buddy Andrew Schultz at the Wilbur, like while my dad was in the hospital. So it was kind of like, it was kind of surreal. Like his hospital was right next to the theater.
Were you thinking about it? You're like, look, if he dies.
I had a show that night.
Why weren't you here with your father? There was a lot of dick jokes that needed to be told.
I know, it's true. And it was weird. All the clubs I was working were like in the neighborhood of the hospital too. So I would like go visit him and go right to do shows. And
that fucks your head.
I know, but honestly, it was like, other than that one day.
Oh, he was fine the rest of it, yeah.
It was like, he got this surgery. It was like scary, but he was home in a week. But it was, that day itself was like fucking, that was the last time I think I took a Xanax.
Oh, you had to really calm down.
Well, it was funny. I had some, I forget why. I got Xanax for like recreational use. And then I had them for years. Like I had them I remember keeping them in my car because I was on the road. I'm like, I'm just going to keep using my car. If I'm ever on the road and something really crazy happens, I'll take one of these, right? So I take my dad to the hospital, and they're like, we're going to take him to another hospital. Why don't you follow us in your car? So I'm like, okay. So I get in the car, and my first thought was like, why don't I take that Xanax now? So I just opened up the glove compartment, popped it.
You follow them high?
Yeah, because I was just like, I knew I was right. I was like, I'm going to have to get there. I'm going to have to talk to my mother and answer a bunch of questions.
Oh,
and
fuck.
Like, da-da-da-da-da. So I was like, I'm going to need to take it down. That was the last time I think I even took one of those. I don't think it had much of an effect. Like, I don't remember being like, oh, I'm so high. Like, it was more like I just didn't.
Maybe the adrenaline, the stress was overpowering it.
Yeah. And then I came out. So this is the fun end to the story. Then I come out of the hospital after he's all set. And me and my brother and my sister are like walking out. And we go to the garage. And they're like, hold on. What kind of car do you drive? And I'm like, a Honda Accord. They go, okay. A homeless man jumped off the roof and committed suicide and landed on one of the cars. So it's not yours, luckily. But
fuck! What the fucking shit is that?
So I was like, it was like near my car, but not my car. So that it was like I had to.
Did you have to like move a homeless guy's arm to get in?
Yeah, like I had to tell my brother and sister, like, you guys go ahead. I'll just wait for my homeless blood car.
What a fucked up thing! Imagine the call to the insurance company. Look, you're not going to believe this. A man exploded onto my car.
You guys cover acts of falling bums?
yeah. Do you guys cover acts of heroin?
You guys cover bum sadness?
Yeah.
I remember thinking, man, what a horrible way to go, because it was like not even close to the tallest building in the area. I was like, why did this guy go to like a 6-story parking garage? You should have gone to one of these other. But you know, if bums were forward thinking, they wouldn't be bums.
You hit it right on the head. Yo, tell people where they're gonna get your podcast.
Well, so we do the Noonan Show. It's on YouTube, but it's also on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, all that. And
links are in the description to make it easy for people. They just gotta click. I just make you say it, but I always put links in the description.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, the Noonan Show. We're trying. You know, it's a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
It's more for fun than anything, but you know, YouTube's a tough nut to fucking crack.
Dude, all of that. I don't understand how the fuck it works. Like, I'll get like a surge in subscribers or something. Like, I don't know what the fuck I did. Like, I want to repeat what I did. I don't know what I did.
It's the same. My partner and producer on the show, Paul, he's a real like brains behind the show and like the production of it and stuff like that. And we're constantly just having a meeting, like, what are we gonna? So we try different things, different titles, different thumbnails, different stuff. But we do great numbers on the podcast side of it, people listening. But
Yeah, same.
Like, to get people to watch it is fucking tough.
Same. It's always the listeners are more than the watchers, which makes sense.
I don't watch a lot of podcasts either.
Even when I do on YouTube, it's normally I listen to it. I'm not looking at it. I got other shit to do.
Do you have YouTube Plus or whatever where you can close your phone and still listen to YouTube?
I don't know.
I have that. It'll change your life, brother.
Really?
I can listen to whole books on tape for free because there's YouTube. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they are on YouTube.
Around.
And there's no ads.
How's that for a fucking...
You know what? Look, if YouTube doesn't sponsor your show, if YouTube does not sponsor your show, it is an injustice that we need to fight against. That is crazy. What a missed opportunity. You made me think about buying that subscription.
I mean, I tell everyone, so listen up, YouTube. I'm doing your work for you. And I'm a paid spokesman, so like, get on it.
And he knows what he's doing. He did a Super Bowl commercial.
People see me using a product, they want to use it.
Yeah. That's how I get influenced.
That's how it goes, you know?
So let me just remind people, fucking links in the description. Follow Will, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure that if you're on any social media platform that he's on, links in the description, you follow him. That's it. Thank you guys for watching. Go fuck yourselves.